this video finds you blessed. This week, I have a piece of oak that I cobbed from my sister's fire pit pile. I just seen it there and I was like, you know, every time I get wood from her fire pit pile, it never disappoints. I was a little concerned about this piece because the amount of spalting and bug holes and things like that, that maybe it might be too far punky. But I decided, you know what, just go with it, see what happens, and try to make the best out of it. When working on projects that are in between centers, I usually try to get a tenon established as fast as I can in case something happens, especially with this kind of wood because it is already, you know, splitting and cracked really good in the end grain. Some of my favorite turnings are usually these crazy shaped, gnarly logs. They always have something interesting going on inside, especially ones that have several branch, spots in it like this. I was hoping that once I started peeling back those layers and seeing what kind of patterns and things the wood has made with the main branch with the two other branches that were growing off of it. And they always do have something interesting. Some obviously more interesting than others, but that's part of the fun of turning these crazy wild pieces. And there's the reason why I don't cut it down and try to make it as round as possible before I mount it, because there's design opportunities underneath those pieces. And until you start working on it, you really don't know what you can always reposition it or try to incorporate more or less of whatever feature that is in there. And so yeah, I like turning things that aren't close to round at first. It's more interesting to me to peel back the layers and see what's going on and be able to make a decision or to be able to choose what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. I kind of started with an idea when I started this vase. I have a couple of ideas that I've been trying to accomplish by using, starting out with a vase base. And it seems like every time I go to turn it, the piece of wood ends up deciding something different for me. So that's okay. Eventually I'll get to it. I can't stop doing what I'm doing, pick up another piece of wood and just try to accomplish what it is I originally wanted to accomplish. I have to finish. I have to finish this piece because it's saying something that it wants to be something different, and I get excited because I can't wait to see what beautiful, how beautiful this very unique piece of wood would be like. So yeah, I started out with a totally different plan, and of course ended up with a totally different plan. So that's one of the joys of turning wood, is that it kind of decides for you, and I like going with the flow. It's nice to not have all the control in what it's going to look like, and the wood kind of speaks to you and tells you what it wants to be, and you just kind of go with it and then make the best of it. When I started this project, I anticipated the wood being very punky. It's been sitting outside for a very long time, and it's got a lot of weathering, and so it's getting to the point where it's almost beyond salvageable. But I have Total Boats penetrating epoxy, and this stuff is great. I put it on all over the areas where it's really punky. This is best applied either right before you do your final shaping, which would be more of like a shear scrape to do your final shaping, or sanding. You could put this on and sand. Of course, depending on how deep your tear out is from the punky would be how long you'd have to sand. So that's one of the things you'd have to judge for yourself. If you don't have penetrating epoxy resin, you can use your regular epoxy resin, mix it like it's supposed to, and then add acetone. You can add up to about 50% acetone to your resin and stick your piece in something you can allow it to soak in really good. The acetone helps thin it out so it will penetrate into the wood a little further than, if you were to just put resin on the top of it. It does take about 24 hours to cure, so keep that in mind. There are also other products out there like wood hardener, and sometimes I've seen people use lacquer, thin down lacquer to stiffen fibers. Whatever you have on hand. I don't like to go out and buy things if I don't need to. I like to utilize whatever I have on hand. I have also used watered down wood glue to help stiffen fibers and to shrink up cracks. I liked how the edge on this piece was kind of fluted or uneven from the original cut of this log. So I decided to keep it, and it actually kind of helped me visualize more of like a form for the vase. It's a very feminine shape. It's kind of like a mermaid style dress if you put the vase upside down. So it has a really nice flow. And so that's why I chose kind of the shape. And the rim really helped me decide what I wanted to do with the rest of the piece. I didn't hollow this out really thin on the inside towards the bottom. I just used a Forstner bit that would fit through the neck of the piece. So I had this idea to kind of make these fingerprint style divots in the vase. And what I would do is I would start smaller, and as I got around to the wider part of the vase, I would make them bigger and then move them back down smaller again. That was my original plan. I don't have a burr drill tip. This is kind of just a round diamond tip. It's more useful for like stone or doing very light engraving. This oak is, even though it's close to rotten, it is still very hard, and I was having this process was taking so long. I just knew that there was no way I would be able to sit here. I could literally order a new bit and get it delivered to the house before I would finish my original idea. So I decided to, after I added this part on the bottom, because I had to continue it, that I was going to kind of change gears and see what else I could do. I have to apologize. I have no idea what any of these bits names are. I'm just showing you the shapes of them and what they look like, because I have no idea what the names of them. So this one was a little dull. I had used it on something else and wore it smack out. So I decided to change it to a more brand new one. It was giving me much better results and giving me more sharper lines. I really didn't have a plan starting carving this out. I kind of just started making some shapes and lines in it and seeing what happens. So I really have no idea what I'm doing. I don't carve very much with the Dremel because I'm not very good at it, and I'm not very good at it because I don't do it very much, so there's that. I like uniformity in some pieces, and others I like the randomness. And so this one, I felt that it would look best with more random pattern going on with it. I get a lot of these sanding bits, and you can get some of these tips for the Dremel either on Amazon or Rookie Abrasives, or Abrasive Home now is what it's called. They do sell Dremel bits for sanding, and this one's just an 80 grit. It's kind of a flap wheel, but it's a very tight flap wheel. So there's it just helps me get into those grooves a little bit to smooth them out. Arteza has these, they're metallic colors, and they're like metals. And man, they are super shiny. And I love the paints because they're thicker. So working on stuff on your lathe like this, and obviously you're turning this piece and you're painting all. You don't have to worry about this stuff dripping or running down. It where you put it, it stays, and I love that. And it coats really well. So I don't have to add several coats in order to get, maybe some darker spots covered in the wood. And they're just beautiful. They're very, very, very sparkly. I'm using 4 different colors, going from the darker all the way into the lighter. And so I have 3 brushes, and I'm just going to put them, I would mix the in-between colors afterwards. So first, right now I'm just doing the first couple of strips to see how I want to blend it, if I want to change it, what have you. And then I start to go in and apply all the darker color first, and then the secondary, and then the third, and then the fourth, and then just blend those in. And I can't say enough about these colors. I have more ideas to use these in future projects. And like I said, the paints are really thick, and they don't take too long to dry considering how thick they are. But if you wanted to pile them up to add texture, of course you might have to do it differently, so that way you can add texture without the paint being too heavy and it actually falling off. But if you wanted to use this paint to add texture to a piece, you could do that. I have a test piece that I set off to the side where I really made the paint chunky. I took the leftover paint from my pan and really made the paint chunky, and seen how that texture would hold up, and This paint is very versatile. You can do a lot of stuff with it. So I can't say enough about how beautiful it looks, what you can do with it, the thickness of it, and the shine. I mean, it's just, there's nothing dull about any of these colors. They have the metal colors, and then they have like pinks, purples, and teals in another kit that are just as vibrant and sparkly. What's nice about this particular method of doing the texturing and the paint is that when you go and you mess up and you can't paint in the lines, like sometimes I can't, you can just sand it all off and it just works perfectly. I had to make sure I went both directions though, sanding, so that way I could get all of the areas where the paint I didn't want it to be. I'm using the same method I did on my last video. I'm adding a little bit of the gold mica powder to my finishing coat. I felt that would help add some more, I don't know, gold sparkly to the whole piece and kind of bring up some of those colors into the neck of the vase without it being like in your face. It is, I'm addicted to this color powder in the finishing resin. You'll probably see it a little bit because I get obsessed about something and I won't quit until I get tired of it. So I apologize for that ahead of time. But it does really add a really nice sparkle without it being like a glitter sparkle, if you kind of understand what I mean. It's not like glitter. It's something different. It adds just a little bit of, it catches the light. So I love it, and that's why I'm doing it again, because I love it. To sand the bottom and finish it, I had to put it in a vise, and I couldn't get my camera high enough to where you could see what I was doing. I did use a Forstner bit after I sanded to fit Bob Cook's Maker coin, so I'll show a picture of what that looked like when I was finished. Thank you all so much for watching my videos. I pray you have a wonderful weekend. Take care and God bless.